am going to call to order the Burlington High School Building Committee and Burlington School Committee meeting of December 11th, 2025. The public can also access this meeting via WebEx technology. The Burlington High School Building Committee will hear public comments in person and virtually. Meetings are also broadcast live on Burlington Cable Access TV, and audio recordings are being made. The meeting of the High School Building Committee will be held in person at the location provided in this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this meeting in person. Please note that while an option for remote attendance or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item of this agenda should make plans for an in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. If you are participating remotely, please identify yourself by typing your name on the screen in advance and verbally once you are identified to speak. We request that you please turn on your camera, and comments and statements are limited to 3 minutes. Let's please go stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I did make a statement at the last school committee meeting, but since this is our first meeting, I just wanted to make a quick statement, and then we can go ahead and get going with the regular agenda. The building committee and the school committee appreciate the community's engagement throughout the BHS building project and acknowledge the outcome of the recent debt exclusion. We understand and respect the concerns expressed by residents about the cumulative impact of recent and upcoming capital projects, including the Fox Hill Elementary School project and the new police station. Many in the community felt that taking on additional debt for the high school at this time would be too soon. We hear you, and we remain committed to working with the community to find a responsible and sustainable path forward. As a first step, and as many of you probably agree, we plan to reapply to the MSBA for the high school project. While we have had strong success securing MSBA funding for other school projects, the high school has historically been a challenge. We will be reviewing our approach and seeking expert consultation to strengthen our next statement of interest submission. For the time being, we intend to maintain the school committee, the building committee. Earlier this week, I emailed current members asking whether they would like to continue serving. Please respond yes or no by December 19th. We also welcome new participants who can bring fresh perspectives to this next phase of work, and we encourage interested community members to attend future meetings. Initially, the committee's primary focus will be the preparation and submission of the SOI. We remain committed to working collaboratively with the community to determine the best path forward for meeting the long-term needs of our students and schools. So the first item is public comment. I don't see anyone in the audience. Is there anybody online? Oh, I see Zach is online now. Bless you. Anyone online who has a comment? Okay. Then we'll go ahead and get past the public comment. And the next thing up is the approval of the November 13th meeting minutes. And Martha, I think you sent some changes. Did you?
I made those changes.
You'll make the changes, right? And hopefully everyone else had a chance. There was just one word that you changed.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes with exchanging the word providing with attending, because that really changed the meaning of what Ms. Smith had said, that she attended a walkthrough. She didn't provide the walkthrough. So that word I suggested changing, and with that, I make a motion to approve the minutes with that change.
All right, excellent, thank you. So I will go ahead and take a vote. Ms. Monaco?
Yes.
Ms. Navoychek, I know you're not feeling well.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Oh, we can hear you. Eric?
Yes.
And Nicole?
Abstain.
And Bob?
Yes.
And Neil?
Yes.
And Gail?
Yes.
And Martha?
Yes.
And I see we have Zachary.
Yes, but
And
Didn't know that
Wendy.
I approved them.
Is it a different Zach? Oops, never mind. I'm gonna. Welcome the other Zach. Yeah, welcome the other Zach. Yes, I only saw a Zach. Too far away. Wendy?
Yes.
Okay. And the chair is a yes, so that's 10 in favor, 0, and 1 abstention. Okay? And the next is the approval of the invoices. I will have to take roll call, and I also will be chairing that since the chair of the school committee is unavailable tonight. So would someone like to make a motion and read off the appropriate numbers? Chris or Megan, assuming Chris.
All right, so I move to approve Doran Whittier, is that the right one? Invoice number 25, November 2025. Motion to approve Doran Whittier, invoice number 25, November 2025, in the amount of $18,000. Is that the right one? Okay.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And I will take a roll call vote. Megan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And the chair is a yes, so that's 300. Okay, next item is project website and documents.
First is just a quick budget update. So with that invoice approval, that's the final invoice from Doran Whittier. So that brings the contract remaining down to 0, and the total savings from the feasibility study are a little bit over $28,000. And then for the project website, we are planning to take that down soon, but we did just talk with Bob earlier, so I think that's a discussion to be further had. But in the meantime, I've downloaded all the website media and some other supporting contract or project documents onto some USB drives, which I have given to Bob. And I know Jen Priest, the town clerk, has requested that as well, so there's a copy for her. So if that could be given to her at some point, that'd be appreciated. And yeah, let me know if there's any problems with the USB drives. I can send them virtually as well. Or if there's anything else that you think's missing from there that you'd like to see, just let me know and I can send it.
Thank you. All right.
Comment?
Yes.
Yeah, I had someone ask me just tonight for one of the reports on the website, and I said, go to the website, but hurry. 'Cause I don't know how long it's going to be there. So is there a way that we can have some sort of a backup?
Yeah, so that's, all those reports and everything are on those drives, but the website is still up, and Bob said that it's gonna last another year for the billing, so.
Let me rephrase that. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Through the chair, if I
Yep.
may. So I received in the mail a renewal. So there's 2 things for the website. One is the domain name itself, and one would be hosting for X amount of time.
Yep.
I think if the committee would like to discuss that, there's a possibility that you could keep the current website up and running, or at the current contract, it would run out, and you would no longer be able to access it, but the documents have been pulled from it. So we do have backups from Nick of all of the documents that were on the website. So again, I guess the committee should consider if they would like to keep the website up and running, which would be a cost.
How much?
How much is it?
I only got one renewal, and that's for the domain name, so that one is, $200 approximate. And then I'm not sure what the hosting would be. That would be something that we'd have to look into, and I don't know when that expires. So,
Okay, so maybe we can discuss it at the next school committee meeting or one, in the near future. And Eric, yes.
Call to our conversation earlier is maintaining the website.
We can't maintain the website?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. We looked at the warrant. Nicole really looked carefully at the warrant language, and it just seemed to be we're concluding the warrant this evening.
Yeah, so the way that the warrant article that town meeting voted on for the appropriation of funds for the feasibility study, it was only dedicated just for the feasibility, nothing like for and then once that concludes, the funding for that concludes as well. So my interpretation of that is that anything outside of that would be for a different intent.
Right, okay.
Could we maintain it, could the school committee maintain it, separate from the warrant article?
Yes,
Yeah. So that, yeah,
Well, I'd like to suggest that.
subject to appropriation.
Well,
yeah.
appropriation by whom? By
Our
the school
operating budget,
committee.
It's by the school committee, right.
Yeah, I think we should keep it. I think there's a tremendous amount of valuable information on there, and the easiest way for people to access it is because they know where to find it. Like, for instance, I know where to find it. I'm no good with a thumb drive, but, I can go on and find the reports that I want. And if we're going to use that information, wise guy, if we're going to use that information in working towards attempting to get MSBA approval, I'd like to be able to get to it easily. So maybe we can talk about it at the school committee meeting, but this is a joint school committee meeting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we should,
A request permission to speak out of order.
What?
excuse me, what?
Requesting permission to speak out of order. My name is Lisa McGonigal.
Okay. What's her name? Lisa? Oh, Lisa, yes. I see your name, yes.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Because these are business records that have been produced at taxpayer expense and by the town, they should be maintained for 3 years in a way that all taxpayers can access them, and also in the event of a FOIA request.
It's true.
Thank you for the comment. Yeah,
Yeah,
Eric.
just to point it,
You're welcome.
no one was talking about, all the documents will be preserved. It's sort of the.
Right.
Of course.
The mechanism to which people would access. So I think we're all saying the same thing.
Yes.
And Bob, once you get the renewal, I think my point is the renewal becomes a school committee appropriation or decision, so we don't have to make that decision now. If you all would like to maintain it, then we'll get a price and we'll bring it to you,
I think that's the best path.
and then you can vote, and then we'll make it happen.
Yes, that sounds good. I also just wanted to go back, just go ahead.
So we will have some sort of, we have the other fee, is my guess, through Wix, and we'll figure out what that is. And I'm sure we can transfer it in some fashion. We're not going to, get rid of the site. And in addition to, we'll get to the right decision, and it will get maintained. You have all the documents. Also know that we have all the documents. If for some reason somebody's looking for something and it can't be found, well, I will be taking my name off of the website.
You don't want people calling you anymore?
That function will cease.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So we'll,
Yep.
Nick or I will get in touch with Bob and figure it out, and
Yep.
I'm sure Bob can report at the next school committee meeting.
And we got to, we might want to remove some of the names, and we need to make sure that he's an administrator somehow,
Yep,
too.
we'll
and-
figure all that out. I
Yep.
mean, that's way above my pay grade.
Currently.
Thumb drives either.
Anyone else want to comment on it? I just wanted to go back, and because I don't think anyone made a comment, but I did want to say that there's $28,362. I know, Nick, you brought that up, but I want to make sure people heard that is going to go back to the town, because it wasn't funding that was not used for the feasibility study. I want to make sure that people heard that.
Yes.
So we didn't spend every dime, so that was good. So now, the next item up on there, anything else that you wanted to bring up, Nick? We got the documents, we talked about the website. All right, reflections of the future. I think Eric might want to talk about that.
I did. I'll let people reflect, and then I'm more interested in how we move forward, but again, so I just said, excuse me, that I'm more interested in moving forward. I'll certainly leave it open for my reflection, but what I will say is, having done sort of 2 complete projects and working through a third. I would like to thank our owner's project manager, Doran Whittier. Again, had been working with you, obviously, on the Fox Hill project, and it was great to continue that relationship onto the high school. Although the vote was unsuccessful, I think there was lots of many other successful interactions, information gathering, communication. I would be very comfortable being used as a reference for you in the future. So Terry, thank you. Nick, it was a pleasure to hear your voice. I didn't know what you sounded like, so I'm glad they finally let you speak. So
Oh, he spoke at the last meeting as well.
The whole time
had I
we
known,
led that
Nick,
last meeting.
how
You weren't there.
Maybe he wasn't.
anyway, so
Well, thank you, Eric. And Nick's actually going to be helping out on Fox Hill, so
oh, fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
you will see him going forward, and maybe he can run those meetings. We'll see.
We'll see.
And, I thanked you.
Bar's been set pretty low, so
Yeah. So Nick,
No,
but thank you very much. And again, Chris, the same thing. I think Tape was a great partner. Again, really creative, like all the stuff. I think we had, again, besides the vote, we just covered lots of ground. And I know both companies put in a lot of effort, even sort of above and beyond, in talking to my colleagues about what sort of a feasibility entails. This is a very difficult site. It's a sort of a large existing facility, and again, same offer. If not that my word means anything, but if I could ever be sort of a reference, I would happily do that. And I just wanted to make sure I thanked you. My reflection is to thank you publicly, both companies. So thank you.
Thank you for
And
that.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, just references, obviously, I'm happy to do that too. But as chair of the committee, I think that there were so many times that we started in a certain place, and after getting feedback from the community and going to all the different various venues that we went to, we heard what people were saying, and I appreciate how quickly you were able to pivot and come up with new designs and new ideas based on what we heard. That was a constant throughout this whole project. And I cannot say how much I appreciate that you guys were, I felt like, available 24/7. We would text you or call you on the weekend. It would be 8 o'clock at night. It'd be 6 o'clock in the morning, a Sunday afternoon. I did not ever feel, you guys responded every single time. And I don't think you get that, from every company out there. And I wanted to make sure that, it was acknowledged that that was so appreciated, because a lot of times you have things on your mind or something comes up and we need to, again, make a quick adjustment or have a discussion about something and bounce ideas, and sometimes you want to do it right then. And I cannot, again, thank you all enough for being available and doing that. So, Chris.
Yeah, so I've always said a debt exclusion would never pass in Burlington. I was hoping for a miracle. I'm a little bit worried. I want to get MSBA help. I'm a little bit worried that even that won't be enough for a debt exclusion to pass in Burlington. I truly, truly hope I'm wrong. But I've been on several building committees. I chaired the Marshall Simons Building Committee, and I have never worked with an OPM and an architect that were so good, so helpful. I've given a lot of recommendations for people in the past that we did work with on building committees. In this case, both of you, both companies have been beyond the beyond. I just couldn't say enough about how great you've been. And I am hoping against hope that, granted, there is no Plan B, as I kept telling people before the vote. I hope that as we find a Plan B over time, whether it's getting help from MSBA and moving forward again, or if it's some sort of a long, slow, dragged-out procedure that I personally am not in favor of, I hope that all of you will be available and that we can include you in it in the future, because There is no group I'd rather work with, frankly. You've been really, really great.
And I'm not sure if anyone online wants to say anything in reflections. I just don't see the names. I don't see hands up.
I would, and again, it's Lisa McGonigal. And I'm sure this has crossed everyone's mind. Mr. Conti, given the fire report, the fire protection existing conditions report, and the sheer size and scope of that building, with all of its bizarre little ins and outs, what is your plan if a substantial fire would break out in that building?
Who's speaking?
Lisa McGonigal.
What would be my plan?
Lisa McGonigal.
If a what broke out, did you get that?
What would be your plan if a substantial fire were to break out in that building, given that it is not up to standard, and I'm aware it's grandfathered in, but given the very serious lacks in sort of how out of date it is.
I'm not going to be able to answer your question completely. What I will say is, although the building doesn't have a sprinkler system, we certainly have a working and functioning fire alarm. We work very closely with the fire department and the police department. I know we have to have at least 3 or 4 fire drills, 4 I'm being told, every year. So we practice for the event of a fire and getting all the students and staff out of the building quickly and safely. So I think we prepare for it. But obviously, a more modernized facility, a sprinkler system, anything like that that's designed to slow a fire down would be more helpful. But we are, I feel like we're prepared, and it's not like we're ignoring that, and we're required to prepare, have a functioning fire alarm, and to conduct fire drills every year.
And there's fire doors as well, right?
Yeah, again, that's all part of the building with working with the fire department. So everything's inspected every year. Bob, right, they come through, they check all the fire extinguishers, they check the fire alarms. So it's not anything that we ignore.
And I'm aware of that. I went to that high school, nothing seems to have changed. But given that there are a couple of conditions in the report with, some of the natural gas piping, and that there's, some concerns with the emergency gas shutoff, things could go very wrong, and it's not something that we ever like to think about, right? And you don't have a sprinkler system. So there's a potential for liability by the school department. And yes, you can always say that you were grandfathered in, but I just think it's something that we need to be mindful of.
Thank you.
As we work towards this. And look, I'm a former lawyer, and now I'm in education. So this is how I look at it. And it's unfortunate that the bill didn't get passed, that voters didn't think that their students didn't deserve a better high school. I know that you all worked very hard for it. So these are just a couple of things that I'm looking at and thinking of, because I know you all worked very, very hard for this. So
Thank you. We appreciate your comments and your input. I did just got a text message from Ms. Wojcik. She lost her voice, so she asked me to thank you all as well. She would say much more, but she's hoarse, so I wanted to make sure I did that.
That's what happens when you teach little kids.
That's right. Anybody else in the room or online who would like to make a comment?
We're still in the reflection part, Madam Chair.
Still reflecting. Anyone else? All right.
So, Madam Chair, then, if I could get to the future part, because this is actually, I think sometimes people are conflating the Fox Hill project and this project, and I often do that, so I understand it. This is a non-MSBA project. So my understanding of a building committee that's formed as part of an MSBA project has some of its authority comes actually through the state treasurer's office, and they have the ability to expend funds that sort of come in through the process. So with Fox Hill, it's the building committee that can approve some of the spending. Obviously, for this project, the authority of the building committee really works as a subcommittee of the school committee. So with that being said, I think the school committee can recharge the committee, extend the committee, change the committee, can sort of do whatever it wants with this committee. We're not under the umbrella of the state treasurer or the MSBA. So my suggestion, like you read in your opening statement, is for the future, I really think we should keep the high school building committee subcommittee of the school committee authorized by the school committee. I think the charge should be somewhat narrowed. I think people who have spent years should be able to say, as you offered, Madam Chair, that they could step off and we could invite other people on. I think the sort of short-term charge would be to create, author, and submit a statement of interest to the MSBA. And Bob, the deadline for a core program is in April, I believe. Is that?
Second week of April.
Second week in April, so it seems far away, but it's not, so that would probably be 3 or 4 meetings. I learned through this process that we are blessed in Burlington with lots of experts on the MSBA process and on the MSBA itself, so I would welcome to sort of write that statement of interest in public, and typically Bob and I spend a lot of time on that, but we should, I think, broaden that, and I think the charge from the school committee should really be to create, and the school committee has always approved our statement of interest, as have the select board, so you would all still need to do that, but in terms of authoring and prioritizing and sort of, I heard that all we did was cut and paste, even though the MSBA kind of wants you to do that, but I think we would welcome any opinions for people to come in, and we could have public readings of the statement of interest, and it could really be a community submission to the MSBA, as long as we made the deadline in April. The MSBA actually does not encourage communities to hire outside consultants to write their statements of interest, because some communities could move forward and others couldn't, so they really want it to be kind of a homegrown statement of interest. So would really suggest, and we'll put on a future school committee meeting, or maybe even tonight, you could just extend the subcommittee to include a statement of interest written by whomever wants to come in and participate, and we can submit that by April. Subcommittee meetings do have to be posted. They are public. If the town clerk, Ms. Priest, would like to sort of appoint people to the subcommittee, that would be, again, up to the school committee. We don't have to go through any sort of state process to do that, and the public could still participate because the meetings would be posted in public anyway. So if someone wants to show up for one night and participate, that would be fine. I think longer term, what Bob and I talk about is we also have May town meeting coming up, and we have warrants, and buildings need to be maintained, and projects need to be maintained. Please understand, and I'm sure everyone in the community knows this already, that even if we submit a statement of interest in April, the MSBA won't let us know the outcome of that statement of interest until, my belief is this time next year. So again, Chris and Terry, you guys can give me a yes or a no, but I think it's probably in December when we usually hear, right before break. So that's a year away. In that year,
Is it a year from, is it April to December or April to,
April to December of 2026.
The MSBA is actually inviting the next round of eligibility period tomorrow. So you can watch that tomorrow to see what that looks like, but it'll be next year about this time. that
Yeah,
they
so
do.
right around December, right before break is typically when we have gotten our rejection letters or approval letters. So, so I guess my point is, does the school committee, through this committee, want to concurrently fund a renovation plan or a, again, as an example, sprinklers were mentioned. I don't think it makes sense for us to put a warrant together to add sprinklers to this building without having an overall plan as to what we're doing, because if we're going to invest in that, we're going to be keeping sort of this building. But I certainly don't have the talent to talk about a renovation plan. And do we want to wait till we're either approved or rejected from the MSBA, because that's, again, that's a December of '26 decision, and then go to town meeting in January of '27 or May, and then ask for that? Or do you all want to go to this May town meeting and ask for funding to do a renovation plan concurrent to the statement of interest being processed by MSBA? So the challenge would be, if we're invited into the MSBA process, then that 7-year clock starts like we are going through for Fox Hill. A renovation plan may or may not be needed at that time. Or we fund a renovation plan, don't get approved by the MSBA, and then we would have a plan to move on to this building, because a lot of what would have been taken care of in the project is not obviously being taken care of, and the building's needs haven't gone away. So I was a little bit long-winded, so let me just summarize. School committee can, I would hope, extend the charge of the school building committee for the high school. I think that our immediate goal, so in our meeting in January, February, and March, would be focused on a statement of interest, and people can comment and edit and make sure all the spelling's correct, and add their expertise, which I think would be awesome. And then we will submit that in April. And then I think also on the agendas for those meetings, the deadline for warrants for May, Nicole and Bob, are, I know there's a deadline tomorrow, but that's for January? So February sometime, so we would need to decide by February whether you would want us to have some sort of planning warrant or some sort of funding for, what would you call it? Well,
Renovation plan?
you've already done a feasibility, but I'm saying we would have to do a,
Upgrade plan, I mean.
renovation plan, I guess, and
Upgrade plan, I don't know what else you want to call it.
Drag it out over 10 years, plan to fix stuff.
Maintenance
A
plan.
maintenance plan, maybe?
Upgrade maintenance plan, I don't
well,
know.
I don't know what to call it, but I'm sure folks would, and then we could get some estimates as to, I hope we could call on you guys to give us some sort of estimates as to what that would look like, so we know what to ask for, because if we're going to have to do this in pieces, then we would have to know how big those pieces can be, not to trigger a debt exclusion, Mrs. Monaco, to your point. And then, let's say it's $50 million. I'm just, please don't fact check me on this.
About 500,000.
500,000, no, I'm just saying if we have a plan in place and they're saying you can afford over the next 5 or 7 years so many tens of $1 million a year, then we would need to know what those priorities are for sort of doing this building, because even a renovation of this building is going to be quite expensive, and then what would avoid a debt exclusion would be just pacing that out over a much longer period of time. So I think in the very short term, like by February, we have some significant conversations to have and would welcome people to join those conversations. I don't want to get to May town meeting and then have someone say, oh, why didn't you ask for this?
Exactly.
And I don't want to submit a statement of interest in April and have someone say, boy, I wish you had said this, or you added pictures or included this, and everyone is welcome to come in and participate. So I think the school committee has complete my perspective. You guys have the authority to do all of this stuff because it's not an MSBA project.
So I think initially, just if you want, you can talk in a second, but if we could maybe get a motion just to have the current members, school committee members who are present tonight to form that subcommittee and vote on that. And
So my motion is to continue the building committee with the current membership, with the exception of anyone who wants to drop off, and that whatever, we should have an upper limit of numbers, and that anyone who wants to join can submit their name or just attend, because we take input from everybody. And I think it's very important that we keep this committee going. And I don't know what the upper limit is on numbers of people, so I'm not going to include that in my motion. I'm just going to move that this building committee continue with possibly some changes that the school committee will decide on. And I'm making this motion as a school committee member. If Megan's there, she could second it.
Second.
There you go. Because I think there's just too many loose ends here. You know, we had all our eggs in one basket. We were very hopeful it didn't happen. We've still got a lot of problems, so let's get something done. So the committee should continue, and Catherine, as chair, you can make whatever, or suggest whatever changes you're ready to make at a school committee meeting.
Yep. Okay, and I'll take a vote on the motion.
Can I make a discussion point?
Sure.
I'm concerned that that I would want you to consider starting a new subcommittee with a new charge. And I think having a separation, certainly the people who want to continue and who will continue are going to bring a lot of continuity, but I think there's been a lot of dissatisfaction, as seen by the vote in town, with the process and the outcome of this committee, and I think it would be valuable to start fresh. I call it that. It may not actually work very differently, but I think having a fresh start would be useful. So I would encourage you to think about how the motion is worded.
I don't know what you'd ask me to change. I am not certainly going to ask anyone who's worked so hard, including you, to drop off the committee. I don't think we should do that. I think we should expand it to the extent possible, and that is part of my motion. But
if I may?
You've got 5 school committee members who all want to be on this committee, and until we get to MSBA, that isn't going to change, and it may not change even then. But I don't see any point in throwing out the baby with the bathwater at this point.
The way you worded it was about continuing.
Yes.
And I think that the community might be ready for a new, fresh start. It doesn't mean that I'm not talking about throwing somebody off. I'm talking about the same welcome to people. In fact, I hope that people who feel there's a better plan will join that committee. And so I do think that's important, but I think it may not matter. Nobody may pay any attention after tonight, but I think starting fresh and having a new charge. The charge of this committee was specific to that feasibility study.
Yes.
And so I do think it'd be useful, and the school committee can vote however they want, but that's my opinion.
There will be a new charge, so add that to my motion. But I think that too many people have invested too much time to ask them not to be part of the committee. I think we need to continue it. And we've done a lot of work, we have a lot of knowledge, and starting over at this point makes no sense at all to me until we get to the point where, let's say, we get approved by MSBA. So my motion stands, if you'd like to take a vote.
Thank you, Martha, for your comments. I will go ahead and take a vote. Ms. Wojcik?
Yes.
Ms. Monaco?
Yes.
And the chair is yes, so it's 300. And just so to your, I did hear from the 2 other school committee members before this meeting that they want to continue. So I think, like I said, there's just a lot of people have put a lot into it, and I understand what you're saying, but I think that we will get a lot of the same people joining, even if we started over. So why not just continue what we have and let people drop off? And we'll welcome anyone new who wants to join with their fresh ideas. And I hope that some of the people from the No Committee definitely come in with their ideas. They were certainly vocal during the election process, and I want to hear their ideas. And I think the rest of whatever committee we have in the future would like to hear everyone's input as well.
Some of the people that were most vocal opposing the debt exclusion, I think we should welcome with open arms onto this committee. And if they don't want to be part of the actual committee, or if they do, great. And if they don't, we would hope that they would come to the meetings.
As many as you can.
And sit in the seats and be a part of all these discussions, so that the next time we get to a decision point, everyone will have the same information, and it won't be such a stretch to try to get everyone to understand so many things. But, okay, so that's done. So I want to take what Eric said and see if I can sum it up. Well, sum it up, okay? So I think what Eric is saying is that the charge of the new committee, or the extended committee, is to take input from anyone in the community who wishes to give it for a submission to MSBA. Now, we know our chances are not very good, but you never know, and so it's certainly worth trying. Part B is if we are unsuccessful and are, over the duration, forced to try to fix this building piecemeal with whatever the town can afford without a debt exclusion, year in and year out, we need a plan. And because things are, in some areas, as I would say dire, as I believe they are, we need to get that going. So one way or the other, we either need to get a debt exclusion passed with MSBA help, or we need a long-term maintenance plan. And so we need, as a school committee, to go down both of those paths and define the actual plan. I think I agree with Eric that this committee is a good jumping off point to. You take the MSBA checklist, which is online, and it's basically the same thing year in and year out with the same information, and then next year they send you a note and say, do you want to resubmit? Check this box, and the same thing goes in. Is that pretty much it? Yeah. So the only thing we can do differently, if I understand it right, is send in supplementary materials. And I think that's what we can do as a
Mr. Kuna,
What Ms. Monaco said is correct. You have the option to click a box and resubmit last year's. That option is available, but you always have the option anytime to start with last year's and edit it. You also can start completely fresh and enter all new information.
And we should do that. We should start all over from the beginning, and we know we already have one project going. We already know we've been rejected 3,000 times. Well, not exactly, but
Close.
but we have to do it. And in the meantime, we have to study this other path, which would be long-term maintenance.
right. And I think, too, that it might be helpful, I don't know if there's a way to maybe show screenshots, but I think there are a lot of people that think that the SOI is like writing, trying to get a grant. And it's not like you're writing this information for a grant. You're actually, it's a drop down, and you check boxes on the things that you want to prioritize as far as, what the issues are with the school, and then you submit why you feel that those are the most critical things that need repaired. And I think a lot of people didn't understand that either, just from looking at, some of the hearing people and the feedback after the election. So I think it's just good to let people understand what that looks like.
But in addition to the drop-down, you can put together supplemental information, is that correct?
Yeah, I think you can have appendices. We've always submitted appendices, just like when we had the engineering done of the HVAC system. I believe that was an appendices that we submitted.
Reports.
I got a comment that, someone's SOI was longer than ours in terms of pages, but I'm not sure they saw the appendices or not. And another useful piece of information that's coming out, and again, I'm going to look to Chris and Terry and now Nick. Actually, I should look to you, Nick.
Here's your man.
The MSBA is doing their 5-year,
Oh, yes.
6-year analysis of school buildings, and they're supposed to come out in December as well. Is that my understanding?
Have they come out yet?
Bob, do you know?
MSBA's already been to our schools.
I know they visited, but they're going to put the report out. Is the report done? Last time I checked, it hasn't been out yet. So
When
I
were
think
they here?
the last official one I've seen was from 2017 or 16, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, my understanding roughly is every 5.5, 6 years, roughly, they do a survey of all the buildings, get an update to where they stand. They come out and meet on site with the principal, myself, tour the building, take pictures, verify everything from windows to boilers, et cetera, and put them into a scoring matrix that they have, and then they will release a report on the standings of those buildings. So those visits have already taken place in the past 6 months, roughly, at all 6 of our buildings here in the school.
Yeah, because part of our challenge was one of the categories is actually square feet per pupil. And they look at this building, it's 360,000 square feet. Again, everyone knows it was designed for 2,000. We have now 1,000, slightly under, just so I can do the math. So on their state report in the latest one, it said we have basically 320,000 square feet per kid. So, no, 320. Sorry, Martha, you're right. I'm doing my math wrong. 320 square feet per pupil, which is a lot compared to. So I'm not sure they would say, but I think getting some of those factors. That's the MSB also categorizes this building as being of their scale of 1 to 4, like a 2 in terms of condition. So,
Do they count all this space, the space for the preschool and the space for all they count that as if the high school kids are using it?
They count it as potential high school space because they say you could always move out, and you don't
okay.
need to expand the high school because that square feet sort of exists already.
I get it.
So I think that's kind of what they look at. There are high schools across the Commonwealth who have a much lower square foot per pupil measurement, and so that kind of fits into their formula. So again, Madam Chair, to your point, is they like some descriptions, but they come out and verify and have verified everything themselves already, and they have a rating system for all the high schools across the Commonwealth, and the condition, the square feet per pupil, the usefulness, they have a bunch of other things. So it's not about us. We can't deceive them in terms of, oh, we're overcrowded, because their measurements wouldn't show that. So I think.
And Martha?
I'd like to focus in on sort of next steps, first steps for this new charge. And I support what Dr. Conti has said about starting with the statement of interest for MSBA and doing it in a public forum. And so I'd like to, and also that given the deadlines for May town meeting funding, that we also decide, I'm suggesting maybe in January that the agenda be starting the SOI in public and deciding if we want to ask town meeting for money to start a renovation plan. And that could be sort of where we start. And so then if that's where this committee wants to go, then the question would be, how do we make sure that the people who have a lot of insight about how we improve our statement of interest, our experts, would hopefully join us, and how do we reach them? It's a constant struggle of community outreach and engagement, and what would we do for that? So those are my 3 comments.
So again, Madam Chair, Martha, I agree, it's a pretty straightforward agenda. Bob and I talked, we can put the statement of interest right up on the TV screens, we can talk through them, and people can choose, right? You have to sort of select the reasons why you're asking the MSBA for this, and there are, what, 7 or 8, I think? 7, so if people want to choose one and not the other, then we can sort of go through that. I don't think you can choose all 7, but I think they give you a number that you can pick. And then I also think we can have available statements of interest, because they're all public. We can have some successful statement of interest if people want to read them and say, oh boy, this was really, their drop down was better than ours, then we can pick, we can make some of those decisions. And then ultimately, again, I don't believe personally that groups of people can write, but ultimately we're going to have to put some writing down and people can edit and comment, and we can make all those documents available. And then the school committee can have final approval, and then again, we can submit. So I think we could probably have all that documentation ready for January, and in the appendices and the reports, right?
Can I just add one thing through the chair? So the 2026 statement of interest window has not opened yet. So there is no official opening date, there's no official ending date, but typically what we've seen is that MSBA opens the statement of interest window for core programs, usually the second week in January, and then you can submit all the way through the second week in April again. So I don't have those dates yet, and even if we had a statement of interest available today, we couldn't submit it today because the window's not open. So just wanted to be clear.
Thank you, Bob. And Chris?
But we don't have to wait until April, right? We can submit it any time from January on, as soon as we have it tied up.
Once completed and approved by the committee, obviously it has to go to the select board for votes, and it has to go to the school committee for votes. There's a specific passage that needs to be read out loud and then voted on by both of those boards. Then that has to be certified and added to your submittal package. But yes, once it's completed, you do not have to wait until April to submit.
I have this old-fashioned thought that getting it in before the end of the window is better than waiting until the end of the window.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it doesn't make a particle of difference, but thinking like college applications and whatnot, you try to get them in.
First come, first serve, hopefully.
I'm sure if it's successful, everyone will say their contribution is the reason that it was successful. So I appreciate that, and we can sort of celebrate as we go. I do think the foundation of this, though, is the community has been very successful with the MSBA. Sort of 3 projects over 12, 15, 14 years, whatever, is a pretty good track record. So I think our submission can only get better with more input, and we can move forward. Gentlemen, I'm assuming if we have questions that require expertise and your experience here, we could reach out, and I'm sure your contributions would only make our statement of interest even stronger. So I think that's something that we can work on together. I don't believe there's any magic phrase or any magic way to do this, and I think they've really tried to put a system in place that allows the neediest buildings in the Commonwealth to be addressed as a priority, and I think that's really what they try to do. So,
Thank you. All right, any other comments before we go to the next agenda item? Ms. Simon?
Yeah, I'm wondering how we are going to reach out to people who might bring a new perspective to this committee. And encourage them to. I've personally reached out to some people, and one of our attendees tonight is someone who was not involved before. Thank you for coming, Zach. And hopefully there'll be new voices, and I know we tried to reach out to people, that there was a whole community engagement subcommittee on the last round, just looking for ideas, and hope everyone will continue to look for ideas so that we can make sure that people who have other ideas and other plans will be part of that conversation.
And I also, again, I personally bumped into some of the no people and invited them to come tonight. And they may have other conflicts because it's that time of year.
Might be some
But,
online.
yeah, not the ones I spoke to are not online at the moment. But my point is that, we have been personally reaching out to some of the people who were very involved in, both sides. And you're right, we need to figure out a way. I'm sure we need to get something out to town meeting members. There are some of them that were very vocal, and, some other way of announcing it, posting things on BCAT and, in the different various newspapers and social media, all the things that we've been doing, short of, a mailing would cost a lot of money. So I would hope that a lot of the people who became very interested in the project in the end, that, and I think many of them feel that this project is still very important, whether they voted yes or no, that they would please be a part of this next committee, or at the very least, attend as many meetings as you can that we post to express your ideas and opinions, and we love your input. And we said that all along over the past 2.5 years, that we invited everybody to come. So that is still out there. Yes, Martha?
I also wanted to add that we don't need to have a long conversation tonight, but I think it's really important that we coordinate with the town side. And I know that we had the town administrator on this committee. I know that the select board did vote to support the project. And I know that we had Ways and Means members who were part of this committee and helping to make a plan about how to finance it. I think we need to be doing that from the very beginning, because if this is going to be a multi-year project or whatever, if we're going to have to figure out how to do it without a debt exclusion, we need to engage with the town. Typically, school finances don't go back and forth. But this project needs to be integrated with town finances, and I know there's people already thinking about it on the town side and on the Ways and Means side, and I think it's really important that we work very closely with them. If we make a plan, that maybe we find out from them what they think is feasible fiscally, and try to find a plan that would work with that plan.
Thank you, Martha.
I actually have 2 comments.
Excuse me, Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Yes, it's Jeff DeBona.
Oh,
I'm
yes, hi,
logged in
Jeff, there
online.
you are.
Yeah, you had asked me to attend the meeting, so here I am.
Thank you. Hey, Jeff.
I didn't know. I'm listening to your comments. I'm like, I don't think they know I'm here.
No, didn't see your name.
I knew.
Sorry.
Yes,
yeah.
no, and thank you. I appreciate you being here.
Okay, my 2 comments. One is Doug Davison is the chair of Ways and Means, and he is part of this committee, and I believe that he will most likely stick with it, although I can't speak for him. But I don't think we can get any closer to Ways and Means than with the chair being on our committee. The other point, and I got a message from Megan, she said, how are people going to let us know that they would like to be part of the committee? So I would like to suggest that anyone who wants consideration for becoming part of the actual committee, send an email to Catherine, and is it K Bond? Is that how you're?
Yeah, it's the school committee one.
K Bond at BPSK.
Yes, yeah.
12.
Yeah, 12.
So I'll say it again. It's kbond at B as in boy, P, S as in Sam, K12.org.
And in addition to that, you can message her through Facebook. If you have her contacts, you can send her a text. And if you can't figure out how to do that with Catherine's information, you can reach out to me or to any other member of the school committee, and we will pass it along. I'm speaking for 2 who don't know I'm saying it, but I think they'll pick up the charge.
Yeah, I agree. Dr. Conti.
Madam Chair, I have actually a quick question, and I'm taking advantage of our experts while they're still here.
What?
So I know that we're going to end soon. So Chris, for a multi-year renovation, do the costs of those renovations, I know we fund annually, our budgets work annually. Does the trigger on the 30% get measured annually, or does it accumulate? So if we did a $30 million one fiscal year and a $20 million the next fiscal year, does that keep us below that threshold? Or, I'm not sure I'm asking the question well, but what would trigger sort of having us be fully compliant? if in fact we need it to be. A renovation over time doesn't save us from doing that?
No, well, there's a rolling clock. I need to look at the exact time, but off the top of my head, I think it's 3 years. And so it looks backwards and forwards, right? So you can do something this year and go out 3 years, and it looks backwards. That's how it looks. That's how effective. But if you're planning on doing something 3 years from now, what you do today will be triggered in 3 years. So we just did this process on another project that looked like it wasn't going to pass its funding, and the building committee at that time said, maybe we'll just drop out and do a 10-year master plan. So we did a plan that said, based on these estimates, we know the roof is going to cost X, and we know the windows are going to cost X, and we saved a big bunch of stuff until the very last minute that we could do it. And it was, one member on that committee said, it's going to be like going to the dentist every day for a year to try to get this done. But because you got to go, in that case, that community would have had to do overrides every single year, instead of being able to fund it under their cap in town meeting for them. And so that's why they said that. But part of the process should be, okay, we know the list of all the maintenance and things that we have to do. Bring on a firm or somebody to tell you what order do we need to do those, and what order are they needed, and how can we set that up so that we're not ever crossing the line, and one thing's going to have to wait, depending on where that is. And there's a lot of different ways you can configure that, but that's how you would do a 10-year or 12 or 15-year maintenance plan, is do it that way so that you know what that is. The other threshold is affecting a certain percentage of the building area with reconfigurations or work, and that's the work area limit. And so you'll just have to manage that based on area that you're working in, and scope of work. So that's just, you just need someone to walk you through it with with a red thread and say, this is how we're going to accomplish this goal,
7:35 p.m.
And move through it effectively without ever tripping over something that's going to cost us the big whole thing. So,
But we would know what those guardrails are relatively
we know them
quickly.
today. We just have to set them up and then apply certain scenarios to it and say, what's the most critical thing?
Again, sledgehammer for me right now, what's the assessed value of the building was around, what, $50 million? Is that, what?
Yeah, total property and building
65.
65.
Yeah, 65.
So 65, so we would, in a 3-year time period, not go over 30% of 65 million? Is that, I'm just asking, is that my thinking?
Yes.
So it'd be 25 million roughly, or something like that?
20.
In the range, and that
20.
value could go up over time as assessments go up, and so
As
you just kind of chase it, right? So yeah, it's a rolling.
How would you say?
19 and a half.
But I'm saying, so what, I guess, for my thinking, $20 million chunks,
Yeah, you would end up doing 3 million this year, 6 million next year, 10 million. You would space it like that, so that then every 3 years you maybe do a larger chunk, and then you get by with smaller chunks in the intermediate, and that's kind of the strategy that you would look at. So
and then the end result would be a renovated building, but not necessarily ADA compliant.
no, you would do the ADA as you go.
As you go.
Because you have to do it with any current work, you have to do that. And so any portions of work that you do along the way, you would address it as part of that work. But you wouldn't have to do the other side of the building or something like that. And so eventually the building is completely upgraded and stuff like that. But the challenge is really, because you've got a lot of things to think through on this, but some of them are just the physical nature of things that is going on. That's a lot of the problem. There are significant educational issues that aren't an HVAC system or an ADA accessibility problem. It's more in how classrooms are set up and how they respond or don't respond to modern teaching methods and pedagogies. That's something else that gets layered in over time, and you have to look at it. I mean, if you're just stabilizing a building and calling it good, then when you get done with this, you're still going to be in an outdated educational facility with new systems in it. right? And that's the kind of double-edged sword that you got to balance through the whole process, and was part of the problem when you go to vote, right? So I think it's not an easy thing to do, and it takes time and diligence and real effort on a committee's part to say what are we doing and what are we not, and that adds to the cost. So I think you definitely want consultants to help you figure that out.
And not me. Okay. I've taken enough time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I just to be fair, I was communicating with Jeff, and I know he joined after public comment, and I just wanted to see, was there anything that you wanted to add or say before we conclude the meeting? Because I'll put you in with the other topics not reasonably anticipated in the last 48 hours. Any comments or anything you want to say, Jeff? If you're talking, you're on mute.
Sorry, my phone had me locked out of WebEx for some reason. No, I'm here to listen. If you want to hear my comments, I mean, I think I'd echo more what Ms. Martha Simon said. And I think we should dissolve the committee because it's not really a building project anymore. I think it should be started new as more of a facilities committee, coming up with a plan, maybe even starting a separate committee for MSBA funding where they could work in together. Those are my thoughts on it, but you've already made the motion, so it's a little bit of a moot point.
Okay. No, thank you. Appreciate your input, and maybe there's a way to have another committee. We can talk about that in the future,
Yeah.
but for now, we'll just
Obviously,
keep
you
it.
have things you have to tie up.
Exactly,
With it.
yeah.
Closing out the committee, you can't just say, all right, good night.
Ask him if he wants to be part of the committee.
Yeah. Do you want to be a part of our committee, the current committee?
I would like to be part of the facilities committee coming up with a plan going forward. I think this committee's run its time on it. Obviously, you have, like I just said, you have things you have to clean up and finish. Just get in touch with me, let me know what your plan is going forward at your next meeting, however you decide to move forward. I'd just like to hear a little more input. Obviously, there's not many other community members that have talked yet. So seeing what direction other people would like to go in. I mean, if it ultimately stands to be that, then I would like to join. But at the moment, I'd like to just sit tight and wait to see what happens.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Chris?
Jeff, I don't know how long you've been on, but the charge as we go forward is twofold. One is to work on an application to MSBA, and the other, and assuming that if we were to get help from MSBA, that we would go forward in a similar manner to what we've already done, but with MSBA help, it could be a different option of all the options we looked at. So the other charge is to look at, many year-long maintenance overhaul. And what I'm hearing you say is that you'd be interested in being part of that, or are you interested in being part of both?
I'm interested in being part of whatever the final going forward is, because those are kind of contradictory statements of, all right, well, let's go get MSBA money. MSBA money is looking to do a building or a major renovation.
Right.
Saying, all right, we got to figure out what we got to do with the building is a separate angle. Is it a full renovation, or are we looking at, all right, what are the major repairs being required here? I think it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. I think we need to slow down, come back, and say, all right, let's see what it is. And a facilities committee is what I've heard from people in the community saying this is where we should start. I think that would be the proper jumping off point, but that's my take on it.
All right.
So if we make that part of the discussion from the committee, are you willing to be part of it or at least attend?
I think he did say that, Chris. He
Okay.
said he was
Yes.
willing. However we move this forward, he wants to be a part of it.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, he did say that.
Yeah, I'm willing to be part of it, but I want to be part of the right direction. It sounds like there's kind of multiple directions going on, and just kind of baby stepping it. Let's start with the facilities committee, see where that goes, and come up with, all right, this is where we can stay within the guardrails. This is what we have going on. It's clear that a large debt exclusion isn't going to pass. So if there needs to be something smaller, who knows? But we don't know what the current plan is.
All right. The other thing, too, I have a question, because I believe that if we did get MSBA funding, and you experts can maybe let me know, but I believe we would have to dissolve the current building committee and start the process all over again if we got new MSBA funding, or no?
You would have to make the committee special to
Right.
their formula like the Fox Hill.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Martha, one more comment.
You're probably going to do this, but are we going to schedule a next meeting, and if so, when is it?
Yeah, well, I don't know what that is yet, but we'll get a notification out, and it will be posted on the
Okay.
town website as usual. I just want to get through the holiday season and figure out what dates are available. Probably try and keep the same cadence, just because, to be consistent. But, Ms. Monaco?
Yeah, before I read it on Facebook, I want to address something. So we're talking about two specific items. One is an application for MSBA. The other is,
Bless you.
the other is to decide whether or not to go to town meeting to fund a maintenance plan, a facilities committee, or whatever. But in order to do that, we have no funding to have consultants or anyone to help us develop a plan like that, and it's not something that can be done with just internally. So I want to make it very clear that as we go forward, we're going to look at doing two things. We're going to look at filing with MSBA, and we're going to look at a facilities committee that we need funding for. Now, once we have decided what to do on those two things, I assume we'll file for MSBA, and we'll, if we decide we want a facilities committee and we'll need someone to work it, we'll need to go to town meeting for money. After that, I think any changes can be made. We'll have, if we get MSBA funding and we go with that, we have to have a newly designed committee to meet all the criteria. As far as the facilities go, we can have anyone who's interested be part of that committee. So I just wanted to be clear before I read it on Facebook that we aren't doing something the right way. We're doing it the right way. It's up to the school committee, with help from our friends on this committee, to go those two routes and then decide what happens next.
Sorry, someone have their hand up?
Zach Rolfe says his name, if I said it correctly, but hand is raised. Zach.
Zach?
Oh, yeah, thank you. You did say it correctly. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Just in terms, just a quick question, because I'm trying to keep my ear on this and listen to everything even before this. In terms of maintenance, from everything that I've heard in this meeting, it sounds like there is no report or anything that says this is what needs to be replaced in the building, this is roughly how much it costs. Is that correct?
Chris, address it.
No.
No,
That's not correct.
Oh, that's not correct. Oh, okay. So we do have that some, okay.
Did you want to, Bob? or-
Yeah, as part
Chris.
of this feasibility study, we went through and analyzed all the systems, everything about the physical plant, and we know the things that are deficient or wrong with the building specifically. Those have renovation costs associated with them, which was one of the options that were of the many options studied as part of this project.
Oh, yeah.
Currently on the website, if you want to go look at that.
Yeah, no, I
And then
remember that. I remember
previously
seeing that.
So previously to this project, there was a separate facility study that also had costs associated with it from 2021. And
Okay.
so, multiple firms have reviewed this building and come up with similar or same conclusions. And those costs are known and published in part of the process that we did for this current building process feasibility study.
Thank you.
Got it. Thank you so much. That was
Yep.
very helpful.
And anyone else? Okay. Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Adjourn.
Second.
Move adjourn.
All in favor? Great. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.